All right, we are back live. Sorry for those technical difficulties here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, but we officially have Tanner Witt and Chris Leone on air with me. How's everything going, guys?
Doing terrific.
Good so far.
Well, I'm just glad. Yeah, I'm glad we're actually hearing each other and talking, man. I've been doing radio for I don't know how many years, and that's the first time I've ever had all the phone lines go down at once. So, yeah, it's a little nutty, but we are on air, and this interview obviously got cut a little short. But let's talk some Red Bull GRC. Obviously, Tanner, we've had you on. We've kind of been catching up with you as as the season progresses. I mean, podium, you got to be pretty stoked.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. Second place in our in round 3 is a really, really good start to the year. We're actually sitting second in points, only 7 out of the lead at the moment. So things are looking really good for us. We had a third place finish on Saturday, but due to a technicality, it just didn't quite work out for us the way we would have hoped. But we're back in the game now with a second place on Sunday. So I'm really looking forward to Jacksonville, and the guys in the car did a fantastic job. We really came in with a plan with this one doubleheader. So we knew we needed to take care of our stuff, but they came in with a plan and was executed perfectly and got us a podium. So I'm really, really stoked on it.
Yeah. Well, talking about that, I mean, I'm impressed. I mean, Dirtfish, obviously, you guys know how to build cars up there. I mean, Derek's an amazing car builder, and he understands the dynamics. Obviously, you didn't build this one, but, I mean, right out of the box, 2 rounds in, and you guys are front runners. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with that. Usually it takes teams at least a half a season to get up to speed.
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to the guys we've got on the team. I mean, all of our guys we've got going have got supercar experience or have been working at Dirtfish for years, and just coming from a really, really good background, we're really passionate about it. So I think that's definitely flattened out our learning curve, and we've done our homework having another car at the school to go and tinker with and try different things. That's definitely a big help to us. But no, I think it's a really, really cool deal we've got going.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, I mean, you were there in Daytona. What do you make of Tanner? Tanner, I mean, he podium, in his second race. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
I mean, obviously Tanner's got a little bit of an advantage over all the rookies because he's been familiar with the GRC light car since the beginning. But really, and Tanner, feel free to chime in on this, I think that sports car experience that you've had in the past was really a contributing factor to this weekend in particular. I mean, obviously using the International Horseshoe at Daytona, using a lot of the same layout that you see at the Rolex 24, I mean, there are a lot of guys who were in that race that, hadn't seen that course before and hadn't really driven a sports car type course before in their careers. So, I got to say that seemed like it was an advantage definitely in winning the pole on a Friday for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those deals where we're coming from a little bit of a sports car background and a little bit of an oval racing background. Just being able to finesse through there was definitely a big help. But I mean, at the end of the day, a racetrack's a racetrack. It's all about who you got setting up your car and how the car was prepped and everything. So I think that played a huge role.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Tanner is a series progressive. I mean, you've got, a ton of that seat time. I mean, obviously, I hate to say it, but, you're right there in the points mix. I mean, you got to be pretty excited to be in this position this early on.
Yeah, I think we're in a really good position to moving forward. I mean, if we would have been able to grab that second in Fort Lauderdale, and if we would have been able to grab the third on Saturday, we would definitely be in the points lead. But hey, that's in the past. We got to keep our eyes up and moving ahead. We got to get a couple wins under our belt to really take this thing. So I think we've built a really good foundation, and we've gotten up to speed rather quickly, and I think we're going to be ready to contest for some wins here really, really shortly.
Yeah. Well, looking at the summer stretch, I mean, how does that affect your guys' preparation? I mean, there for a while. I mean, events are a little more spaced this year, but still, I mean, we hit the summer stretch, and I mean, it's a lot of events back to back to back.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's being able to take care of your stuff. I mean, these first 3 rounds, we haven't had to change so much as the front bumper. So I think it's all about taking care of your equipment, making sure you can make it through the long haul. And our car is already prepped and ready to go for North Carolina. So we didn't have to stay too late last night. So we're ready to go already.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome that it's already, I guess it's a testament to your driving, because I know a lot of guys didn't come out so well out of Daytona.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just come from my background and not knowing whether or not from race to race if I was going to be able to make it to the next race if I tore up the car. So kind of that background of having to take care of my equipment to make sure I can get to the next race is really coming into play here. Even though we know if I tear something up, we'll be able to get it repaired and get it ready for the next race. But still, I think just being able to take care of your equipment is really, really important. And I want to finish the race for sponsors. I don't want to go in there and barrel there and maybe damage the car and risk not finishing. I got to finish for sponsors to create revenue and create sponsorship for next year.
Yeah, for sure.
And no doubt it's kind of a fine line though between trying to push and get that victory and trying to catch when a guy like you running in second. I'm sure you wanted to try to run down Austin Cindric as much as you could, but at the same time you've got to balance those double headers. You've got to balance that extra day of racing with when you're in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
So Tanner, I mean, obviously in between races, obviously you guys are in a really good position. I mean, what you go back to Dirtfish. I mean, what do you do in these next couple of weeks heading into the 4th of July round?
Yeah, I think we're kind of putting together a little training regimen that we're going to start working on and kind of find some stock things we want to work on, charging some corners and start and things like that. Really get down the fundamentals of everything. So we've got a couple of different platforms we're practicing with, some different drivetrains that we're working with in different cars. So it's a nice big rounded base to really get those fundamentals down. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to Dirtfish, where I'm actually in a car headed to the airport now. So I'll be back tonight and back at work tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, you like I always said, it's it's got to be fun for the fans. I mean, being able to watch you race on TV and then turn around and be able to take a class with you up there at Dirtfish. I don't know many other places that can offer something like that. Yeah,
definitely adds a lot more depth to the program that we're building. Definitely takes fan interaction to a whole new level.
Yeah. Well, I know you obviously travel day, but I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. But we'll continue this on, and definitely after the 4th of July round there at the military base, we'll definitely catch up with you again. And once again, sorry, my friend, but looks like I'm going to be up there at Dirtfish in August, so hopefully we can catch up.
Hey, bring that trophy truck so we can have some fun with that thing out there too.
I tell you what, between Winston and Nate and everybody else, I think they're antsy for me to bring it up there. I just need to do it, I guess.
Yeah, I think now's the time where it just needs to happen.
Yeah. Oh, it would be too much fun. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks a lot, Tanner.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Chris. Well, we got a few minutes here to to do a little recapping of Daytona. Take us through the event. Obviously, doubleheader Daytona. I mean, talk about an epic place to have a race.
Oh, absolutely. The line that we had, all of us folks working for GRC in the paddock, was Red Bull GRC. We bring the heat, because for the second year in a row, we started dealing with record temperatures with that race in Daytona. Matter of fact, I've been sitting out, on the patio at the hotel during this entire interview and dealing with the technical difficulties, and I've already gone through a liter of water. So it has just been an incredibly, sweltering weekend. And the drivers were dealing with upwards of 135 degrees in the car. Steve Arpin said that his car hit 139.7 at one point. And as hot as the weather was, a lot of the action was even hotter. You had a lot of guys that were just really beating and banging on one another. The funniest thing I think about this Daytona race weekend for GRC, you look at the Daytona 500 and you look at restrictor plate racing in stock cars, and you look at those tracks as a great equalizer. Well, the exact same thing happened with us this weekend. You had Patrick Sandell pretty much dominating everything from practice number 1 in the first round of the doubleheader all the way to the start of the main event. And Patrick was coming into the event last in points because he didn't quite make it to the main event in Fort Lauderdale. You had Jeff Ward come in, who had never driven a Red Bull GRC car at Anger until, this week. And he comes in, qualifies in the top 3, wins his first heat race, and makes it on the front row of the main event. It was an incredible sort of mix-up in both classes. You had 6 different drivers out of 11 podium and lights as well, but it was especially a mix-up at the front for the Red Bull GRC supercars, because you had a lot of different guys with an opportunity to take home a good finish. And in all, we had 5 different drivers out of a possible 6 take home out of 6 podium spaces, take them home. And that's the kind of thing that we like to see in this series, is as many different people as we can get on the podium. And already that's 7 drivers who have finished on the podium for us this season in 3 points paying races. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely good. I mean, let's talk real quick, because, I know you and I are kind of running short on time because of the technical difficulties. But Sebastian Eriksson, man, this kid, he was, him and Yoni and Mitchell had some battles there in lights a couple of years ago. Goes to Europe, kind of off the grid for a year, at least here in the States. I think everybody kind of forgot about him. Everybody remembered him, as the lights kid. He comes back and just absolutely, dominating. He's consistent. He's running up front. I mean, he's looking like a veteran.
Oh, yeah, but, I can't say I'm surprised. When you win a Swedish supercar championship, obviously you have the skills. And, yeah, he got announced a little later in the off-season than a lot of other drivers did. But, he's a skilled driver. He understands those cars very well. He works with that team very well. He knows everything that's going on like the back of his hand. And, all he needs to do is really just go out there and drive. And, with the couple of issues that Yoni has dealt with in the early stages of his title defense, Sebastian has really, really been carrying OMSE. And, he's really earned the 8-point lead that he's accumulated over these first 3 races. It's been really impressive to watch him. He drives very calmly. He understands that if you get out front, you just need to drive your own race. You just need to, make sure that you're comfortable. You just need to hit your marks, get out there, and everything will take care of himself. For a quote-unquote rookie for our supercar class, he very much has the poise of veterans and drivers, with twice his experience, if not more.
Yeah, it's he shocked me, and I think I think a lot of guys in the paddock. I've talked to a lot of the drivers privately, and and most of them. I mean, he is definitely on the radar, and guys are worried about him.
Oh yeah. Well, part of that is you saw what Yoni did last year, and he came on very quietly, but he managed to snake away the championship from all of those other bigger names with race victories and with all the massive points lead that they had built up over one point or another. Nobody is ever going to make the mistake of underestimating anybody who Andreas Eriksson puts in those cars ever again. Nobody is ever going to make that mistake again after what Yoni was able to do last year. So yeah. Sebastian's absolutely on the radar for everybody. Yoni is still, of course, on the radar for everybody, and Yoni was very fast this weekend. Just had a couple of unfortunate circumstances that put him down further in the main event than he probably should have been. But, so I think the biggest revelation, though, the most interesting thing is really how level the playing field is. We've just, Austin Dine went out and scored his first career supercar podium on Saturday. And the first one for Brian Herderelli's sport coming in too. We had all of the different teams running M Sport equipment get on the podium. We had the Beetle take its first win in Red Bull GRC points paying competition after Scott's gold medal at X Games in the invitational format. And, and then you had the only driver who was able to take a podium in both races was Sebastian, the OMSE equipment. There's a lot of parity right now among the top drivers, and I think we're really going to see a close championship race because everybody knows if they slip up just once, it could be a massive detriment.
Yeah, it's I completely agree. I mean, we've seen how tight these points battles get, especially last year, going down to the wire. And I honestly, I think this year is going to be much more of the same. But real quick before and I hate to let you go because we got so much to talk about. We're going to have to do it again maybe next week or something. But yeah. Subaru, what do we make of Subaru? Because last year they hit their stride. I mean, they were a force towards the end of the year, taking victories. I mean, Bucky was on the podium. Sverre took a win. What do we make of Subaru in 2015?
Look, anytime that you have a completely new vehicle, you're going to have a lot of growing pains and a lot of challenges that you have to go through. I mean, everybody over at Subaru Rally Team USA is intensely confident in that car. You know, Bucky and Sverre have done just so much testing with it. They're so confident in the platform. They're so confident in the machinery once it reaches its fullest potential. But the thing is, it takes a little bit of time to get there. I mean, if you remember 3 years ago in 2012 when that team first really, started doing a full-time rallycross program with just devoted rallycross drivers, as opposed to having, in 2011 they had Higgins and Mira do a little bit of both stage rally and rallycross. Well, that first year, it was a big learning year for them, and they managed to get a podium towards the end of the year with Sverre in Las Vegas. That shouldn't be forgotten. Then in 2013, the cars got a little more competitive. You started seeing Bucky regularly get into finals, and, Sverre got an X Games medal for the team there. And then last year, they were on the podium every other race. It's just, they're at the beginning of a new development cycle. That's all it is. But given the fact that they've gone through this process before, this arduous development process of trying to refine a new vehicle for GRC, for rallycross, for GRC, it's going to be a quicker development process this time. I really believe that. In the past, they were coming from essentially a purely stage rally background and really having to learn what Red Bull GRC's brand of rallycross is all about. Yeah. Now they know that. They've taken wins in it. They've taken numerous podiums and multiple X Games medals in it. They don't have to relearn any of that. None of that has changed. None of that has been forgotten. It's just a matter of applying that previous knowledge to this new car and finding the best ways to really get the most out of it. They're down right now. Do I think they're going to be down all season long? No. There are too many skilled people there. There are too skilled drivers in that car. There's too much behind them for them to really be kept down for long, and especially as a lot of this year's tracks are longer and are going to allow them to really open up that vehicle. I think it's just playing the waiting game a little bit. I think the fans just have to be a little patient, and the results will come, and I think they'll come sooner than later.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that being said, I'm sorry to say, buddy, but due to the difficulties, we're out of time. But let's do it again next week because we got a ton to talk about, and we definitely got cut way short. You up for it?
Oh, yeah, no worries. But in the meantime, to all the Down and Dirty Show listeners, be sure that you either tune in or set your DVRs on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN to see that GRC lights action from Daytona, able to see Tanner's first podium for the Dirtfish Motorsports team. We had some fantastic racing on that track with those lights cars.
Yeah, we will definitely.
The biggest lights field we ever had, too. So
yeah, a proper LCQ. I love it.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
All right, Chris. Well, we'll catch up again next week, buddy. We'll pencil you in for some more time, and we got a lot to dive into in Red Bull GRC. And sorry for the difficulties and the fact we got cut short.
No worries, Jim. You got it. Just say the word.
All right. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Yep. Talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later. All right. That was Chris Leone with Red Bull GRC, and good friend of mine, and the content media director. Most of that media and content you come see floating through the website there and through their social media accounts, that comes directly from Chris Leone. And we also had Tanner Witten on the line, Dirtfish Lights driver. And to those of you just tuning in, sorry for the technical difficulties to kick off today's show. it was definitely some technical difficulties. But right now we're kind of rocking and rolling through the show. We're going to go without a commercial break, and looks like we got Jen Hellstrom on the air. Going to talk some Lucas Oil. That you, Jen?
Yes, it is.
How is everything going, and how is everything up there in Salt Lake City out at Miller Motorsports Park?
Surprisingly, it's not much cooler than it is in Las Vegas. It was a hot weekend of racing, that's for sure. Hot and dusty.
Yeah, I think that's the moral of the story everywhere. I was just talking with some guys down there in Daytona, and they said it was hot there. You know, Lucas was hot. It's just it was a warm weekend all around. But the racing, man, I got to tell you, Kyle LeDuc, huh? Is that pretty much all we need to say?
Pretty much. Kyle LeDuc is killing it, and I don't think anyone else is giving him really a run for his money.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Kyle. I mean, and I was talking with him, and this was just him and I talking when he was out here testing some trophy trucks. But even he was saying, he's like, I had last year's truck up for sale and nobody wanted to buy it. He's like, so he's like, now he's going to turn it into a test truck. But he's like, if somebody really wanted to come run with me, he's like, I had my truck up for sale. They could have had the same thing I'm running. He's like, it's not like I'm, I have some, some top secret piece of machinery. He's like, it's just a truck.
That is surprising. I didn't even know that. I'm surprised that nobody has stepped up and purchased it.
Yeah. Now he's turned it in. He's turning it into a 2-seater to do some demo rides and stuff. So he's going to have like the fastest 2-seat short course truck in history.
Oh gosh. Well, I do know there is one guy out there who's in the process of building a new Pro 4 to hopefully be running next year. So I'm hoping that we'll at least get some competition up there for first place. But there's definitely battles going on for second and third, and Bryce has stepped into the Pro 4 this year since Ricky Johnson's no longer on the Menzies team, and he's doing good. That guy has experience, obviously, in Pro 2 and won Saturday's race in Pro 2, but he needs to get a little more familiar with that Pro 4, and hopefully he can get up there with Kyle and put the pass on him.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing about Pro 4. You know, you talk about Kyle, and it's what makes it even more remarkable to me. I mean, Menzies has stepped in there. You've got Brian Deegan who stepped in. You've got Renazetter, who's always a force. McCachran. I mean, you've got Todd LeDuc. I mean, we're not talking like there's a bunch of slouches in Pro 4. Kyle, I think, is just that dialed.
Yeah, he is, and it's huge names in the Pro 4 class, but nobody has anything for him.
Yeah. So looking at the other classes, Pro 2, Jeremy McGrath finally breaking through and taking home a victory. That had to have been big up there in Utah.
It was huge, and everybody is so happy for him. It was a well-deserved win. How they did, he qualified 6th, and they drew an inversion, and he ended up on the pole with the inversion and led the entire race. And at the yellow flags, it was a little iffy if he was going to get past there, but he held it off and took home his first win, and he's had a couple podiums in that truck, so it was a well-deserved win, and I know he's really happy and excited about it.
Yeah, well, and I know with Jeremy, talking with him, I think there comes a point where you start second-guessing yourself as a driver, and I think he's always had the talent. I mean, he's Jeremy McGrath, for goodness sakes, but,
yeah.
I think there was a time with his former team, and then, and then things didn't work out, and he went without a ride, and, and it's like it's this whole roller coaster, and it's awesome to see him, finally break through and get that win, and it's just got to be huge for him and, his family and the whole team.
Well, what a way to celebrate Father's Day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There was actually a lot of firsts this weekend in Pro Light and also in Pro Buggy. We saw a 14-year-old take his first win in Pro Buggy this weekend. So it seemed like there was a lot of people just stepping up to the plate. And Miller Motorsports Park seems to do that. I remember Beam taking home a win there one year. And overall, I don't know if you've been to Miller, but the facilities are gorgeous. The stands are covered so people get to sit in the shade. But, however, it is a tight course, and these guys are running in the Pro 2s and Pro 4s. They're running 41-second laps. And so it hardly gives room for passing. So it's kind of key on where you qualify and what that inversion is. If you can get on that pole, then your odds of getting on the podium are pretty high.
Yeah. Well, and that being said, you talk about the amazing facility that is Miller Motorsports Park, and I haven't actually been there. I've been by it twice. But I know I heard they're closing. I've heard possibly Lucas may themselves step in and purchase the lease or something. I mean, obviously that had to have been kind of the buzz around around the pits there with this race possibly going away next season.
It was, because we love coming up here. I mean, just when you're pitting on concrete. You're not in the dirt, and there's restrooms around, and it's just surrounded by beautiful mountains. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility. So I would really be thrilled if Lucas did step in and make sure that we could continue racing there, because I know we all enjoy going up here.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, what was going on? I know we had a young kid take a pro buggy win. Obviously, I think Pro Light, had a good mix up there. I think RJ, it's been a while since he's been on top of the box. I think he jumped in there and took a victory as well.
He did. He won yesterday, put in a solid run. But Jarrett Brooks took Saturday's win, which was a first for him, and that kid's killing it too in the Pro Light class. The Pro 2 race on Saturday, round 7, was probably one of the best short course races I have seen in a really long time. Just between the battles that were going on, and RJ Anderson was leading it, and we know that this is RJ's second year in the Pro 2 truck, and he's doing really good and has shown that he deserves to be in that class. But one little mess up sent him spinning and got past, and Menzies got right past him, as long as McGrath and Deegan. Mac ended up getting a flat and went back into the pit, which obviously sent him back to the back of the pack, and a yellow came out. And on the restart of the yellow, everybody was coming around turn 1, and contact was made, and positions changed before you could even blink your eye and know what happened. And it was just, Rodrigo Ampudia was up there getting ready to get onto the podium, which would have been awesome for him. He's been racing for years, and it's been a while since we've seen him up there. But they were shuffling and banging around, and by the end of the race, the course was so dry that it was dusty. It was hard for those drivers to see. And with Bryce Menzies out front leading, he's used to the dust, and he could just take off, and he ran away with that win after a while.
Yeah. So predictions, the rest of 2015, kind of hitting the stretch here, middle of the season. What are your predictions? I mean, does anybody have, give me the lowdown on Pro Light, Pro 2, Pro 4. Does anybody have anything for Kyle LeDuc in Pro 4?
I don't think anybody has anything for Kyle LeDuc in Pro 4. He broke some records this weekend. It was his 7th win in a row. I want to say he broke one of Rob McCachran's records in Pro 4, and he's just going for another championship there in that class, and it's going to be a surprise if anybody steps up and is able to take those points away from him.
Yeah.
In Pro Light, there's a newcomer, Brad DeBerti, who bought Deegan's old Pro Light, came into the season, and won the back-to-back round 1 and 2, first year in that truck. And he held the points lead until this weekend. He had a rough time, but he still finished good up there in the top 5. And so he's one to look out for on that point, for sure. In the Pro 2 class, Bryce Menzies was leading in points, but after yesterday's race, where he finished 4th, him and Deegan had a good battle going on. And they ended up making contact the last turn of the last lap, and Bryce went into the wall, and Deegan got black flags, and Carl Renazenter ended up on the podium. So we're just waiting for those points to come out and see where everybody stands now, because Bryce with the DNF, obviously he's not going to be leading those points anymore, and McCachran was right behind to take those points away. So yeah. Pro 2 is going to be the one to watch, because those are going to shuffle around a lot.
Yeah, and that's, to me, I mean, Pro Light has a massive amount of entries, but Pro 2, I mean, that's got to be one of the toughest, especially in Lucas, one of the toughest divisions in all of off-road to take a victory in, just because of the talent that's there and the names, and, it's just, it's literally a roll of the dice who's going to take the win every weekend. You just have no idea.
It is. With 14 trucks out on the course, there's no room for error, because once you make that mistake, somebody's going to capitalize on it and take over your position.
So, what's up next for you? I think you're heading out to some Terracross with me, right?
I am. I'm actually going to be spending a few days up here in Utah enjoying the weather and doing some riding, and then head down to San Diego for Terracross, which I'm excited. It's going to be my first Terracross, and I'm ready to see you guys rip it up in some UTVs.
Yeah, should definitely be fun, and I think we've got, what I understand, a double header at Glen Helen for the Lucas Regionals this coming weekend too. So lots happening in SoCal this weekend as far as short course goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy one, and hopefully the weather is nicer.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully it's not cranked up like it was this weekend for sure. But appreciate you calling in and giving us a lowdown from Lucas up there in Utah, Jen, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks, Jen.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Jen Hellstrom with. She was up there in Miller Motorsports Park, up there shooting some photos and doing some PR up there at the Lucas Oil race, and some great battles up there. Just looking through the results and the videos and stuff I've seen. Obviously, Bryce Menzies and Jeremy McGrath taking those Pro 2 victories. Pro Buggy, we had Darren Hardesty Jr. taking a victory there, and it was just Pro Buggy, the talent up and coming kids. It's pretty great. Obviously Mike Valentine, he also took a win in Pro Buggy. Pro 4, it was just it was all Kyle LeDuc once again. Kyle back-to-back victories there. What is he, 7 for 8 now, I think. He is dialed in. And then RJ Anderson taking a Pro Light victory. Big for RJ Anderson. Been a while since he's been on top of the box in Pro Light. So congrats goes out to him. And Jarrett Brooks, obviously he took a win as well, like Jen had recapped. So great racing up there at the Miller Motorsports Park, and here's hoping that Lucas steps in and purchases that lease. I've heard all kinds of rumors bouncing around, but it would definitely be sad to see that event go. So here's hoping that Lucas jumps in and and makes things happen. But, those are your results for Lucas Oil in Utah up there. And right now we're going to roll into kind of an odd show today with the mix up there in the beginning. But, we are going to roll right into an interview I did back around X Games time. World RX, that's World Rallycross Championship driver, Factory Ford driver Andreas Bakkerud. Was able to catch up with him before we jump into that. WRX results from this weekend. We had Davey Janey, Petter Solberg, Timmy Hansen, Johan Kristoffersen, Tord Leonard, and Andreas Bakkerud, your 1st through 6th in the final there in Germany at World RX. But right here is that interview I did with Andreas Bakkerud. So hope you enjoy it. All right, and our next guest, catching up with Andreas Bakkerud, also known as Bakkerud Blue. How's everything going, buddy?
Hi, it's all good. It's warm and it's nice, and it's not the weather as we have at home for sure.
Yeah, well, I got to say, you've had a heck of a year so far. Last time I caught up with you, it was at Las Vegas, with the GRC round, and I think you and I both had a little too much to drink. But you've had quite a bit going on since then, right?
Yeah, we had good fun there in Vegas. That was a happy race.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time. It was, good to see you running a lights car there. But, let's talk a little bit about 2015. Obviously, World Rallycross, has kicked off. You guys have quite a few rounds in. You're currently sitting 3rd in points, right?
Yeah, that's true. We have done 4 races out of 13 so far, and we've been to Portugal, Germany, Belgium, and UK. So, yeah, it's going fine. We are still in it, and we have been in the main final every race, so it's only 2 drivers that have been into it, so and that's me and Solberg. So I'm happy. I still have not been on the podium, so that's the only thing that's missing.
Yeah, you've definitely been consistent. It seems like the podium just has escaped you a little bit, but I think Olsberg's, you guys are currently sitting 1st in team points, right?
Yeah, that's right, and that's something very good. That's the aim for the year. We won it last year, and we want to defend it. And both me and Rainis is working very well together, and we have reached to the final 7 out of 8 times, both of us. So it's working very very well, and the cars are working fine too. So
yeah, well Yeah, well, and it's got to be pretty exciting, you as a driver. I mean, to keep a teammate, for 2 years in a row, it seems like there's always a lot of turnover, within teams and people swapping. You've been able to keep that, and then Teamer coming in, that's had to been big, to bring a veteran like that to the team as well.
Yeah, for sure. Teamer have been 2 times European champion in supercar. He have been doing some GRC, and he have I think he did X Games as well a couple of years ago. And he have a lot of experience, and he's a quick driver. Adding a third driver into the team makes also, that means more data logging for the whole team, and for both me and Rain is more on the paper. We can build something on it.
Yeah. Well, and you as a driver, I mean, how's the championship been this year? It seems like the competition, whether we're talking Red Bull GRC or talking World Rallycross, it seems like every year, the competition just keeps getting harder and harder and harder. I mean, how has it been this year for you?
To be honest, the level is really, really high. You can see the sport growing itself. More and more companies are coming into the sport, manufacturers, bigger team. The level is reaching a new era this year, and we need to push so hard. Before, like 2-3 years ago, it was enough to take the start and you could see you were pulling from the others, and you could calm down a little bit and still do a top 3 lap time. But this year, you really need to give 110% every lap to be up there fighting. So, yeah, the level have increased a lot. We have in the World Championship a lot of drivers. I would say 20 drivers that can win a race. The level is really, really high now at the moment.
Yeah. Well, looking at the tracks, you've had some great events so far. I know, Lytton Hill, that's always one of the big ones on the schedule. Anything, you're looking forward to as you kind of hit the midway point of the year?
Yeah, definitely. We have Sweden coming up the first weekend in July. Which is like it's a big festival. The crowd is amazing there. It's a really proper rallycross track with big jumps, velodromes, tarmac, lots of dirt, and that's an epic weekend. The race in Sweden is something of its own. When you go from Norway into Sweden, then you drive to you just see forest and more forest, and really to nowhere, and then you continue a little bit more, and then you come to a place called Höljes in Sweden, and there is a big racetrack. Normally it lives 159 people there, and this weekend it's up to, I think they will try to break the record this year and they are aiming for 45,000 people coming. So that's a really big event, and in a small forest, everybody's bringing their campers and tents and stuff like that. So I think definitely Höljes in Sweden will be really great.
Yeah. Well, and you, obviously you've got a big fan following, and everyone wearing blue and, cheering you on. That's got to be pretty exciting for you to go to all these different countries and have a group of fans that kind of follow you and go with you, Yeah,
last year we had 12 events, and we had, for a total package, for the whole year, we had 750 people coming from a local town in Bergen visiting me around in every races. So that was something of its own. They travel far to see us perform, and I feel I'm quite close with the guys that are coming. I try to put on a smile and a good show on the track. So no, I think it's really, really great. I have the best supporters in the world with me. So it's really nice.
Yeah, well, and I know this off season you've done a video series as well. I know you always which I've thought has been amazing. It's had to have been pretty exciting to be able to share your life with all these people. Yeah,
it is. I mean, to be a race car driver, you have one chance to do this, and you can't do everything by yourself. You need friends, family, sponsors, supporters to help you up to become a better driver, get the chance to drive amazing cars. And I couldn't have done this without them, and I'm really truly lucky guy that have gone into this, and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. Well, and year over year, I mean, how has it been you growing as a driver? I mean, obviously you've got a driving coach, you've got Andreas there who can, help with information and strategies. I mean, how has it been? Do you feel yourself as a driver every year, every event getting faster and faster?
Yeah, to be honest, this is the second year I do World Championship. I do every event. I come here to the States, spotting for Nelson last year. I will help the Allspark Embassy this year in next weekend. I'm truly happy. I was the kind of a guy that grew up in this paddock in Europe in Norwegian Rallycross Championship together with my uncle and my father. Looked at them driving, and suddenly I'm up in the World Championship driving and fighting with guys like Peter Solberg, Liam Dow, and Tannen Faust. It's amazing for me to be here, and I just I want it to never end.
Yeah, well, you're definitely living the dream, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, I got to ask you, obviously, you come over to the States, you lend yourself, your help to certain teams. We saw, Lights Car last year. Any time down the road, whether this year, next year, I mean, would you like to do Red Bull GRC, or are you pretty happy in the World Championship?
Well, to be honest, I always carry the helmet with me wherever I go, and if I get the opportunity, either it's go-kart, Formula, racing, rallycross, rallying, I will grab that opportunity. And right now I have a contract for World Championship. I'm doing that this year, and you never know with me. Maybe I'll do the GRC next year, maybe I'll do it in 5 years. I don't know. I have no idea. I just follow the stomach feeling, and I try to enjoy what I'm having. Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you guys got a bunch of stuff happening back there in North Carolina.
Yeah, but quite a bit.
As always, good catching up with you. And first time at an event with you. Drinks on me this time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, man. Thanks, Andreas.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, great catching up with Andreas Bakkerud, become a good friend of mine, and the boy likes to have a good time, let's put it that way, and always fun, and literally, whether you're talking Red Bull GRC, World RX, he's probably one of the most charismatic drivers, and if you've watched his his online kind of video series, you definitely get that feeling. But we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Katie Osborne, she's going to be calling in, and we're going to be talking some torque. So stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Hey, I'm RJ Anderson, factory Polaris driver, and I drive Polaris because it's the most capable, race-ready off-road vehicle on the market.
When RJ Anderson wanted to set a world record for the longest UTV jump in history, not once but twice, what company did he trust? Polaris and their championship-winning Razor XP1000. RJ is a UTV champion behind the wheel of Polaris vehicles, and he exclusively trusts the Polaris Razors to bring him race wins and championships against some of the toughest off-road racers in the world. The same Polaris Razors RJ has won championships in, set world records in, and conquered the Wall of Death in XP1K2 are available to you at your local Polaris dealer. Take the advice of world record holder RJ Anderson and visit Polaris on the web at Polaris.com to see the full lineup of Polaris Razor vehicles, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports, the sound of the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Baja, check. King of the Hammers, check. Crandon, check. The Mint 400, check. Only one wheel company can say they have dominated the deserts and rocks of the Southwest to the mud and carnage of the big house at Crandon, and that company is KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels has won them all with the help of elite drivers like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Johnson, Bryce Menzies, Carl Renazetter, and Lauren Healy, who all rely on the XT Series from KMC Wheels to get them to the finish line and on top of the podium. Check out KMC Wheels and their full line of XT Series wheels at kmcwheels.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels, like no other. All right, welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I think we're finally caught up after that nightmare at the beginning, but leading us back into the show, that was our good friend Lauren Mayhew, who was on air last week with me, and we're going to be airing some music here and there from her the next episode or two, and getting the word out on some of her tunes. Always doing some fun stuff. Did that shoot with Red Bull GRC drivers. So, yeah, but next up, calling into the show here in just a minute, going to be my good friend Kate Osborne. A lot of you know her from her and I co-hosting GRC Live Radio together, but she's now with the Torque Series, and Torque going down in Chicago. And I got to tell you, it was a great one. Torque missing a year up there in Chicago. I guess contract, something happening, but Torque back in action up in Chicago, and it was an epic race up there. That race always packed with fans, makes for good racing. I know everybody literally was pretty upset over it not being there last year, but Torque back in action at Chi-Town, and it did not disappoint. I think the biggest news of the entire deal, though, we talk Lucas Oil, and you talk about Kyle LeDuc and his dominating effort in Pro 4. Then you go to talking about Torque, and it was all CJ Greaves. But right now, I want to welcome Katie Osborne. Katie.
Hello.
We were kind of having a chuckle about it, right? How's everything?
Are you guys there?
Yeah, I'm there. How's everything going?
Hi. Yeah, good. Just I'm in Chicago. It's rainy. They're warning us about severe weather, but all is well. How are you guys? How's the show been going?
Oh, we're doing solid. Just doing our thing every Monday morning, and covering I guess the motorsports. I guess we call it action motorsports. The motorsports the younger demographic likes. I guess I don't know. I say the younger. Right. I like to consider myself young. Some people say I'm old. I'm like, I'm only 34. What the heck,
You're very young.
Yeah, I'm the old
young
guy
for
now.
Sure.
Right?
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, though, looking at some of these kids like CJ Greaves, I feel like the old man. Trust me.
Oh my gosh, they're incredible. 4 for 4 this last weekend in Chicago. That's unbelievable. The kid can drive. It's unbelievable to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, as good as his dad was. Is still. I mean, Johnny's still one of the best, off-road drivers anywhere. But it took him, a while to come into his own. I mean, I look at how good CJ is at this young age. When CJ's 30, how good is he going to be then?
It's incredible, and it's funny you say that about comparing it to Johnny too, because I was talking to Johnny and about CJ, and he said that it's really neat to see him kind of grow into his own, especially as he's kind of testing out different series and cars right now. And trucks for that matter, but he's been doing some other kinds of things. And he said the kid has so much patience, which is something that he never really learned. And he attributes a lot of his success to his ability to be patient and kind of know when to jump on the right opportunity instead of always just starting from the get-go. So, yeah, as long as he matures into continuing and maturing in that way and growing and developing, oh my gosh, when he's 30, who knows where it's going to be incredible to watch him.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the thing. I mean, this is a kid. I mean, I think a lot of us off-road, guys would love to see him staying off-road, but you get a talent that's that good at such a young age, and you and I both know, I mean, sooner or later NASCAR starts calling, and, and open wheel, and it's so I really think the sky's the limit for him.
No doubt about it. I completely agree.
Yeah, especially with an energy drink like Monster backing him. I think lots of fun stuff can come up with that tie-in too.
Well, yeah, it's that, and it's working with, he is so good to thank his crew. His crew works so hard, and you have Monster, you have his crew, you have, obviously he always will have his dad in his ear giving him advice. I mean, he has a pretty good setup as he moves forward. So CJ Grieve, yeah, he's one to watch in the next years, and it'll be fun to watch because he's going to, I think, be in a couple of different things, and I put money on it that we start seeing him in the next year or two. In different series and really trying out his skill sets to really define, the kind of driver he really is.
Yep, I completely agree. So, talk about the venue up there in Chicago, because I know Torque, it's always been one of everybody's favorite rounds on the calendar. I know we missed a year, I believe it was last year, and a lot of people bummed out about that. But Torque back in Chicago, and, it always seems like it packs the house up there.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. It was so funny because you come off of St. Louis and Texas, which were all very different courses, but the element of the weather kind of played into what the tracks were. And Chicago was one of those tracks that every guy I talked to was pumped to be there. And Scott Douglas, who said, anything from it being an intimidating track, he was like, turn one, you really have to lift, and out of, turn two, he was like, you got to drive really deep. It was really wide and allowed for a lot of passing. And you had Mike Jenkins who kept saying, this track is made for racing. And that was, to get these guys excited about a track and really wanting to race. That is what the definition of the dirt oval was for Torque. I mean, it was just a track that was built for racing. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, in talking about tracks built for racing, I mean, Torque back-to-back now, heading into, I guess, the first round at Crandon, obviously the big one to come at Labor Day. But, anytime you mention Crandon and off-road, I mean, Crandon is just iconic. I mean, it's like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway of off-road.
And I haven't been there yet, but that's exactly what I keep being told. I can't even wait to get there based on just what people are telling me. The big house, it's called that for a reason, and it's something that I think these guys, especially coming off of Chicago, where there were battles throughout each event every day. I mean, the battles that we're going into and coming out of now Chicago will only be that much bigger and better as we head into Crandon. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, lots of storylines, and with both Crandons, obviously we've got this first one, and but the one over Labor Day, I mean, that won the World Championship. I mean, we get drivers from, it's kind of like the melting pot from different series, and
totally.
Everybody wants to show up, and it really is the pure pinnacle of the Torque series. It's great to kind of cap things off with such a huge, massive event, at the end of the year.
Yes, no doubt about it. And I think the guys, in any series, whether it's, Lucas Oil or if it's Torque or if it's guys who just enjoy driving in the dirt and off-road, I think it is a place for people to kind of come together and see what everyone's made of. And this weekend's going to be great for Torque's benefits and who we have coming in, but really, the end of the season, the big daddy of them all, it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, well, and one of the things I always look forward to, especially like at the Crandon rounds, is we get to see a lot of the classes, the local type classes and local racers and stuff come out with.
Totally.
We're all familiar with Pro 4, Pro 2, but you get to see these guys in the stock trucks and stuff like that are literally just going out, the weekend warriors, having a blast, and there's some fun racing to be had in those classes as well.
Right, and I think that's kind of another definition of Torque and off-road racing in general is. I don't think anyone who doesn't love going and having a good time, there's no way that anybody wouldn't enjoy an off-road weekend. It's a bunch of people who get together to just do different things that they're passionate about, and it's just a really cool. And I think exactly having the different classes come in and being able to be a part of it in a way that at the end of the day, everyone's cooking out and chilling and hanging out at the end of a race day, regardless of what class you're in. And I think that's one of the really cool things about off-road racing is it's a big family community by the end of the day. It's really different, cool at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and especially around Crandon, I mean, it's been there for so long. I mean, you've got, I think I've always thought was cool is if you've got some of these local, hometown hero type of guys and they pull up in their 1980, Ford F-150
Totally.
line, and they get as much cheers as Johnny Greaves or Scott Douglas does. And that's what I think is awesome,
I think it's fantastic, and I hope that I get some really good pictures of different kinds of trucks and things that are going on, because I'm sure there are going to be some keepers and some winners amongst the group, and it'll be pretty fantastic to try and capture that.
Yeah. So you heard any stories about Jurassic Park yet there at Crandon? You're going to make your way over into what they call Jurassic Park?
I've heard some stories. I've heard there's a lot of beer drinking, and I've heard that there's some very unusually dressed human beings, and a lot of partying, but a lot of good times and some cooking out, and some people who need showers, after a couple of days of it. And I think it's a smorgasbord of kind of people and humans out there. But I look forward to experiencing it myself for sure.
Well, they don't need showers; they have naked slip and slide.
I know, true. Who needs a shower when you have, no, you're right. No big deal.
Yeah,
Bring a bar of soap.
Yeah, exactly. Just soap up the slide, put a little dishwashing detergent there, and, go for a glide across the plastic, right? So
no big deal at all.
Yeah. So how, tell me a little bit about this year for you. I mean, obviously a lot of us know you. I mean, you've worked with Global Rallycross. You've worked with Rally America. You've worked with, I think in the past you've been involved with IndyCar to an extent, I believe. I mean, how has it been with you, transitioning into Torque? I mean, how has this year been? Has it been, a lot of fun?
Oh my gosh, fun is an understatement. I'm so thankful to be on board with Torque. For me personally, I was in Global Rallycross in 2013 and off to go to baseball, which I loved and appreciated for a lot of reasons, but I just miss motorsport. I miss action sports. I miss racing, and there's just something to be said about sitting on a racetrack and the national anthem's playing. You know what? There's just something so cool about it. You get that chill feeling every single time, and I miss that adrenaline and that excitement. So for me to be back in motorsport specifically is really, really exciting, and I'm just really thankful to have the opportunity that I got brought over into Torque. And then specifically Torque, it is so different than what I've experienced, but at the same time, it kind of combines a lot of the things that I've done into one. I will say trucks are new to me, so that has been an adjustment, saying instead of saying cars, I'm saying trucks, and I have to make sure that I say trucks when I'm talking about the vehicles that are driving. But Torque itself is so awesome. It's down at 30. That makes sense for your show.
Yeah, right.
It's down at 30. We work in dirt, and there's something to be said about what a weekend at Torque entails. And like I said, it's a family community. By the end of the day and end of a race day, people are just hanging out and having a good time, and we all find ourselves in a pit with one of the teams, and all the other teams migrate to that pit, and by the end of the night, everyone's just hanging, and it's really neat that these competitors are so competitive, and they really are. I mean, these are guys who, a lot of them, this is their hobby too, and so their passion, that's where they're very passionate about, is their hobby. And so these guys are very talented, passionate, driven. But at the end of the day, it's all fun and games, and it's really, Torque is a really cool place to be. And off-road racing, like I said, working in dirt is just, it's really neat.
Yeah, it's I love it. I love going and doing other events, but there's something about off-road and being out there, and like you said, the family atmosphere. I don't think people can quite understand it or grasp it until they're there and see it, But, you talk about, guys like the Greaves and families like that and the Douglases. And, I mean, these are families that have been doing this for so many years. I mean, they see each other every single weekend, you know what I mean? And it's, you have no choice but to, to like each other, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think, there's of course friendly competition, if you will, and there's definitely battles, and there's definitely some competitors who, regardless, they want to beat them. But you know what? It's a place when someone's, has engine trouble. I think like Brad Lovell was out helping Keegan Kincaid or somebody out on the track the other day, and it was in the middle of, it was in a yellow, a caution, and outcome somebody else from some other race team trying to help. It's really cool. And I don't remember if it was Brad. It was Brad and somebody else. I don't know who that somebody else was, but it's just that atmosphere where people are there to help and people really just want the series to succeed as much as they want themselves to succeed.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. So, looking at this weekend, we've got, the first Crandon race popping up. I mean, what are your predictions? Does anybody have anything in the tank for CJ?
First off, like I said, 4 for 4 this weekend. It's pretty impressive. I think I got to be honest. I think he's going to be moving forward, and I don't know if he's going to go 4 for 4 again, but I think we're going to see him at least win 2. That's my prediction. I don't know. I'm not sure yet if it's Pro 2, Pro 4. But no, I think he has a truck to win. But so does Johnny. Scott Douglas is so competitive in the Pro 4s. Mike Jenkins doesn't want to lose. I mean, it's so cool. All these guys in Pro 4s, for instance, they are just so they're just so competitive and they're so passionate. I think that's going to be a good race for sure. These guys are not new to Crandon. They know it and they get it. And I think that's what makes this even trickier is the fact that these guys are so knowledgeable about this race course. A lot of them, this is where they, practice or test or get out in the dirt. So these guys know it like the back of their hand. And I think in Pro 2, everyone in there is pretty competitive as well. You have Brad Lovell, who was just in the box for the first time in Pro 2s this last week, and who's starting to get a feel for it. You have Keegan Kincaid, who's out to win because he's gotten second a couple of times now and had some problems here this last weekend in Chicago, so he's motivated to win. And, and then in Pro Lights, you have Cam Reimers, who's really getting a feel for dirt. And you have Luke Johnson, who's excited. He's been driving the Chevy Thunder truck livery, and he's just really excited to win. So you know what? It could be anything. And I think it's really cool because this is something that almost everybody, it's almost an equal playing field because all of these guys know Crandon so well. It's kind of neat. It's an equalizer for sure.
Yeah, and that's what's funny. It's the truth. I never really looked at it that way, but you're right. Crandon, it's, like we make the comparison to any Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I mean, it's the big one. Everybody knows it. There's no secrets, It's,
yep.
It's not like anybody has an advantage because it's been the same course for so long that, they just know it, and
right.
So yeah, I never really thought about it that way, but it's a great way to put it. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the racing this weekend, and hope all's well with you. I mean, great catching up with you. I know it's been a while. We need to do this more often.
Yeah, I'd love to be on board. You let me know when and where we'll talk torque. We'll talk shop. We'll do whatever we need to do. It'd be awesome. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, for sure. I'll drop you a line. Maybe we can get something dialed in with BJ and make like an official torque segment with you or something like that. So yeah, something like that.
We know how to have a good radio conversation going on. Remember GRC radio days.
Yeah, I know. We keep saying we're going to have to.
Those days.
We're going to. I swear, at some point, maybe this year, I don't know when, but you and I just need to literally out of the blue pop up at one of these events and throw down one last GRC live. So.
Hey, you let me know when and where. I'll make it happen.
All right, sounds good. Well, I know you got a plane flight to catch, Katie, but we'll talk with you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Katie Osborne with Torque. Good friend of mine, man. Just great people, and her and I, like she said, used to host GRC Live Radio together, and she's worked in motorsports for quite some time and done the open wheel thing. Obviously, Global Rallycross, worked with Rally America. Last year, she was with the San Diego Padres. This year she's with the Torque Series. She's also going to be doing some stuff with Terracross this year. So, I'm sure you guys will get to hear Katie on air with me a little more frequently this year. But always great catching up with her, and it's been a great show so far. Now we got all those technical difficulties dialed in and fixed, but we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we got my partner in crime, Amy Hood. She's going to be calling in, and we're going to be talking who knows what, but guaranteed to be some fun here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Before we go to the break, I know we got to catch up on some of these results, though. We've been kind of kind of lagging on the results, with everything and talking with people. And I had somebody hit me up on Twitter and go, hey, you didn't announce the results. But, going back to GRC Daytona, we had a doubleheader there. And Supercars with Sebastian Eriksson with that win, Ken Block in second, Steve Arpin find the podium again in third. And that was because him and Jeff Ward got into each other. I guess GRC moved Ward back a position to fourth, Arpin up to third. So those of you watched on TV would have thought Ward was the winner. The third place finisher ended up being Steve Arpin. Tanner Faust taking that win on Saturday. Austin Dine with a solid second place finish, and Sebastian Eriksson yet another podium. That was round one of the two. And then GRC Lights, we had Oliver Eriksson, his very first ever Lights victory in GRC. Alejo Fernandez in second, Miles Maroney in third, a new name there in Red Bull GRC Lights competition. And then Austin Cindric, Tanner Witten, and Harry Chung, 1, 2, 3 in the second round of that doubleheader. And then moving over to Torque, some great racing Thursday and Friday there in Chicago. Mid-tag Luke Johnson, Kyle Hart. That was your 1, 2, 3 in Pro Light. And then moving on to Pro 2, obviously CJ Greaves, Marty Hart, Doug Mittag, and it was wins all around for CJ Greaves in both Pro 4 and Pro 2, both rounds over the weekend. And then Doug Mittag taking the win on Friday in Pro Light, Kyle Hart, Sean Morris. So once again, all CJ Greaves. It was CJ Greaves. It was a CJ Greaves and Kyle LeDuc kind of weekend, I guess. Those boys in Monster Energy got to be pretty stoked on those results. But that was some of the action over the weekend, and we're going to take that short break I told you about. We come back, Amy Hood, she's going to be on the line with me, and we're going to talk probably some motocross and probably a little bit more as well. So stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it. So when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered, packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports. The sound at the racetrack. And the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Baja, check. King of the Hammers, check. Crandon, check. The Mint 400, check. Only one wheel company can say they have dominated the deserts and rocks of the Southwest to the mud and carnage of the big house at Crandon, and that company is KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels has won them all with the help of elite drivers like Travis Pastrana, Ricky Johnson, Bryce Menzies, Carl Renazetter, and Lauren Healy, who all rely on the XT Series from KMC Wheels to get them to the finish line and on top of the podium. Check out KMC Wheels and their full line of XT Series wheels at KMCWheels.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KMC Wheels. KMC Wheels, like no other.
Rigid Industries is the original and #1 LED light bar manufacturer in the world. Torture tested by some of the best drivers in motorsports. Rigid LED lighting products use cutting-edge technology and can stand up to the harshest conditions Mother Nature can dish out. Designed, engineered, and assembled in the United States, Rigid LED lighting is the only choice for your off-road vehicle or boat. Find out more information on the entire line of Rigid Industries LED lighting products at www.rigidindustries.com.
The Rough, Tough, and Muddy Terracross Championship returns to the San Diego County Fair Del Mar Fairgrounds Thursday, June 25th and Friday, June 26th. Come see the Razor XP 1000 crossover off-road racing at 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. each day. Get in free with paid fair admission. Who will take the championship this year? Monster Energy superstar RJ Anderson, Red Bull's Levi LaValle, Rockstar's Colton Moore, Mystics Mickey Thomas, all vying for the coveted title in this unique entertainment-style racing. With tight turns, crossover jumps, and obstacles, you'll see professionals navigate some of the toughest courses in racing. Plus, see racing legends like Walker Evans. Get up close and personal with high-profile action sports stars at our autograph session from 3 to 4 each day at Vendor Row in the Pits. This high-action entertainment can also be seen on CBS Sports Network or go to terracrossracing.com for details. Powered by Polaris Razor, Mystic Lubricants, Keystone, Walker Evans, GBC Tires, Fox, Rugged Radios, UTVUnderground.com, WGAS, your local Polaris dealers, and more.
All right, welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, rocking and rolling, and here in the saddle on a Monday, and right now it looks like my partner in crime, Amy Hood, is going to be calling in just a second, and we're going to be talking a little bit of everything today with Miss Amy Hood. I know she was out on the track doing a little motocross, and yeah, it's always fun to catch up with her. You know, they're hitting their stride up there in Canada in the motocross series, and I know Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, they were on a break over the weekend, but yeah, it's great weekend. I bet the weather up there in Canada was a bit better than it was down here in the Southwest. I think we were about 115 degrees over the weekend. Sounds like Daytona pretty bad. Sounds like Lucas up there in Utah was pretty bad. Sounds like everybody was bad, but we'll have to see how the weather was up there in Canada. And just like that, Amy Hood is on air with us. We've got to hit her intro music, though. Hey, what's happening, Amy?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Hey, sorry about that. We had literally a massive phone meltdown to start the show where we got backup phone lines going on. We had to literally restart the show 15 minutes in. It was a nightmare. First time in 4 years it's happened, and yeah, I was sweating bullets there for a little bit.
Oh, no, that's terrible. terrible.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was probably something over at my end.
No, we're literally running backup phone lines now, and we had to end the show, restart it, and it was a train wreck. So we got a lot to do after we get off air today to get everything dialed in for next week.
Well, get your act together there, Jim. Come on.
I know. I don't know what the heck's going on. I do have to say though, I was doing some stuff over the weekend, and I had to pull some stats for somebody interested in some info. So get this, going to throw a couple of stats at you. I think this is like your 27th or 28th time on air, and and we are now officially at like 23% of our listeners are Canadian.
Yeah, do it for the A team.
So Canada well represented here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. So good to know people in Canada like us. And we're a little questionable at times, but hey.
I mean, us Canadians love our motorsports, and there's not too much good coverage up here, so it's nice to tune into stuff down south. And it's really cool that you do all off-road racing, and there's not a lot of people up here who touch on that. Like, I don't know where to get any off-road information and news other than online. So it's nice that you cover all the bases, and it's refreshing, and it's a good show. So if you're out there, and I know I always post it on my Instagram, but if you follow me, just always tune in, or if you can't tune in live, you can always go back later and listen to it as well. But I mean, if you're working a desk job and you're super bored, like I used to always tune into podcasts and just put my headphones on when I was at a computer job just to pass the time. But get on it. You're missing out if you're not already tuning in.
Yeah, well, there's some, obviously you guys have a huge motocross scene up there in Canada. I know, obviously, there's a Canadian Rally Series that's huge. I mean, Subaru's involved and got some, some really elite-level competition in the Canadian Rally Series. But Formula Drift's visiting there with their World Championship round. We've got World Rallycross Championship from Europe. They're actually visiting Canada, Troy River later on this year. So, some major motorsports events, touching down in Canada this year.
That's awesome, and it's really good to see. The only issue is, in Canada, we'd like to say we have 4 months of summer, really, and then we have winter. So there's no really, in between. But right now, it's been, a long fall. I don't even know when summer's coming. It's not really looking too good here. So always a big issue is having these big events, like World Championships or, part of a World Round or World Series. Even, having a round of the Supercross race here. The weather is always so hit and miss when you come to Canada, and that's what kind of kills it for us. In Toronto Supercross, they actually got rid of the Toronto Supercross race this year. Super mad about it because it's the one weekend that I always make sure I book off and go and just have the best time of my life. Honestly, Toronto Supercross, if you haven't gone, I highly suggest going. It is one of the best rounds ever. Just such a cool atmosphere because everyone loves the fact that they're in a different country and, their neighboring country of Canada. They think it's so foreign even though it's just north of them, but the Americans just love it. But they always have the race in March, and in March, I was born in March, and I was actually born March 2nd on the coldest day of the year back in 1989. I think it was minus 48 degrees outside or something ridiculous, but the pits are outside, and so it's always snowing or miserable. I mean, Toronto has a little bit better climate than here in Manitoba, but it's always so cold that everyone goes back and bitches about the weather. But, I mean, why don't you have, the Toronto Supercross at the end of the series, not, mid-pack so that it's freaking cold outside? But, just the weather here is so ridiculous that, motorsports is hard. It's hard to have, any off-road any motorcycle series like the AMA road bike. Because we have 8 months of winter, and all of our nice concrete tracks and cement tracks, they always just get destroyed by our really harsh weather and our freezing climate that, I'm sure it costs a lot of money to redo it all the time. I mean, here in Manitoba, we have to redo the roads every year and every couple seasons because the weather and the wear and tear is just insane. And also, talking motocross too, the weather plays a huge part in when we can even start our series. If it's a cold, a snowy, harsh winter, we have a lot of flooding. And then, tracks can get pushed to 2-3 months down the road where we can even have our first races. So, the weather here kind of sucks. People are nice, but the weather sucks. So, what can I say?
Well, here's a question.
We still got way cooler people.
Yeah. It's funny because I've literally in the past, 4 or 5 years with the show and everything, I've got so many amazing friends from Canada. Obviously, Jeanette Ewan, Jolene Van Butte, Natalie Richard, Antoine Lestage. I mean, it's like Canada. I haven't even ever actually been there, to be honest with you, but it's like my second home.
Yeah, you're totally missing out, dude. From all these Canadians that I know you're friends with and now meet, and you haven't been to our beautiful home and native land. This makes me, I kind of look down upon you right now. You don't even know what you're missing out on.
Well, we need to bring the show up there and do a show from Canada. It's some event up there. We just need to figure it out.
Yeah, no,
mark a day on the calendar.
There's a really big amateur Canadian National in Walton, Ontario. It's one of the most beautiful tracks and facilities I've ever been to. Great people run it. The event is, they run amateur racing all week. It's kind of like our Loretta's of Canada. A lot of actually Americans come up as well. But they have a full week of amateur racing and vet racing, and then the weekend is the pros. And it's the last round of the series, and it's always just a great show, great weekend. But for us, it's really far. I mean, if we drive, obviously with our bikes and motorhome and camper, it's a 30-hour drive.
Holy.
So keep in mind, Canada is really, really large. We got one highway, the number one, that runs from the East Coast to the West Coast, and you can take the number one all the way. But it's so big and it's so rural, and, if you're crossing from Manitoba to Ontario, Walton in Ontario it's the province next door to me. It's literally, Ontario is next door, but it's so big, and, you're crossing the Canadian Shield that it takes a long time to drive through it. So if I'm going to drive to the nearest national that's adjacent to me, so that's literally one province to the next or one state to the next, it's a 30-hour drive. Jeez. So that just goes to show how big Canada really is. We're huge.
Yeah, well, I laugh because obviously you hear a lot about obviously Montreal and Toronto and Winnipeg and Calgary and Vancouver and stuff like that.
What, you hear stuff about Winnipeg? You're lying right now. You're lying. We're like the dots that no one sees. You can fly over.
I hear you guys. I hear about you around hockey season.
Yeah, well, now because we have the Jets, we have our national hockey team back. But Winnipeg is a blip in the radar because we are the prairies. There is no hills. There is nothing. There is farmland and wheat and corn. That's it. And cows.
But it's funny because you get up north and there's you've got these towns and they're it's just there's nothing there. They're so remote. It's ridiculous. They have 30, 40 people. Living in there, and it's funny because they put them on a map, and it's it's the only town within hundreds of miles. It's crazy, it's
and there's a motocross track in it. That's the sweet thing about Canada is Walton. Okay, well, I'm talking about this Canadian National because again, it's really cool. I always think Walton's a cool event, but also Walton has this big sign in it, and it's the motocross town. Welcome to Walton, and there's welcome to the motocross town. And it's such a hick little tiny town. If you drive through it, you can totally miss it. But they have a big, beautiful motocross track there. And, when the race comes around once a year, the whole town gets involved in it. And, there's people sitting outside of their houses and all the trailers and the semis are rolling up and they're waving. It's really cool. The rural parts of Canada are where all the big, awesome, beautiful tracks are. And it's really cool. So all these towns really adopt our sport and just and love it. And you get all the kind of neighboring towns around who come out and watch, and it's awesome. That's the one really cool thing about it is it's not, our tracks aren't in downtown New York or California where it's super populated. It's really, really rural. So there's a lot of driving and a lot of, oh my God, where am I going? When you're trying to map a track, you're literally going down dirt gravel roads for hours. It's easy to get lost.
Yeah, it's not like Glen Helen, which I'm going to go this weekend, and it's literally right in the middle of Southern California, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah, they get.
You don't just hop off the highway to the track here. You're going down someone's backyard dirt road.
Well, here's a question for you, because I know, I've been educated. Like, I always knew there was a motocross scene in Canada, but I've really started to be educated in the past 6 months by you. But you guys have some amazing tracks up there. I mean, really some banging tracks. You guys have a national championship. Why isn't Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, that has the major series here in the U.S., how come they don't have a round in Canada?
Because we have our own round. I think that's kind of why. Like, there's the Canadian Nationals, and then there's the U.S. Nationals. And, they're two separate entities, and they kind of do their own thing, and they're their own deal. Like, it's cool that they have a Supercross race in Canada because there's no Supercross in Canada. There's an Arena Cross series, but there's no Supercross. But here, we have our own established Canadian National series. So, you either race the Canadian Nationals or you race the American Nationals. It would be cool to bring an American National to Canada. I don't think they would ever do it because, it's like they don't have an American National in Hawaii or I guess Hawaii is totally an American state. I don't know my American geography, okay? But, a lot of the top guys who don't race or can't get a ride in the U.S. come and race the Canadian series. So I just think it's two different established, separate series. So, but it's, it's kind of funny. I was going to talk about it today. I was going to touch base on it, but this right now, we actually have a Canadian winning the lights class, but there's always been Americans who come and win the Canadian series, and it kind of pisses me off. I kind of want to be like, what the heck, Canada? Get your stuff together and, do it for the Canadians and win our own series. But there's always Americans who come down and win, and a lot of top Americans come to race the Canadian Nationals. It is what it is, I guess. I mean, Jimmy Dakotas is down right now. Currently, Matt Gorky is leading the 450s. Brett Metcalf, he's been, he's right up there as well. I think he's currently second or third right now in points behind for in front of Colton Saturday. I can check it out here. Yeah, I know it's Brett Metcalf and Matt Gorky and then Colton Fasciotti right now kind of doing it for the 450. So, I mean, it's saturated with Americans, the Canadian series, and you don't really see that in the U.S. Nationals, but you do see a lot of Europeans who come over and race the U.S. Nationals. So, it is what it is, but I don't think they'll ever have a round of outdoors in Canada.
Yeah.
No, it won't happen.
Yeah, well, and I know even we had Kyle Partridge on air, what was it, a couple months back, and he was even talking about going and doing the Canadian Nationals or something. So, and I know that your guys' women's division, I hate to say it, but the women in the United States women's motocross series is kind of, it's a shell of its former self. Is that a nice way to put it?
Yeah.
But you guys have a solid, women's national championship up there in Canada.
Yeah, I don't like the way they run it. I know they're trying to do, what they can with what they have, and I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the press and, support that they have. The women's trophies are way cooler than the men's trophies. Like, girls were winning snowboards. Like, they had their first, second, and third place trophies, like, that were snowboards. They're rad. I think that was at the Calgary round, but, the amount of people behind Canadian Nationals and supporting it is just immense. It's because the girls who are doing it, Danae Giroux, she was a former racer, and now she's spending all of her time, putting her effort into running the Canadian National Series. And it was actually like the American thing where it was going to go away. But these girls stepped out of the plate, got out of the driver's seat, and ended up, actually putting this on themselves. It's just crazy what they have done with what they have. And the only thing I don't like about it is that it's 3 rounds. There's an East Coast and the West Coast, which is cool, but there's 3 rounds to win a championship. You got 3 rounds to win an East Coast or a West Coast championship. Like, what if you have one bad race? What if you can't make it for some reason? Like, I just think 3 rounds sucks. Especially if you're putting all your money and all of your effort into going and wanting to win a championship or, fight for that championship. You often think it's like perseverance and, long ruled out consistent series that wins the championship, not 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do in 3 rounds? Like, that bothers me. I don't really want to go and chase a championship when all I got is 3 rounds. Like, what if I make a little mistake, or what if I can't make 1 round? Then your chances of winning are just out the door. So it's a lot to put on 3 rounds. That's all I can say. I hope that it grows, and that's the thing. In time, it will. I just hope that it grows quickly, so people can have a little bit of a shot, I think.
Yeah. Well, here's a question. I'm going to put you on the spot here. I know you love being put on the spot, right? So we've got all these different, literally women scattered all over the globe doing different motocross championships and endurocross now because there's no lack of motocross. Your opinion, I mean, in counting the ones that are semi-retired like Ashley Fialik, who just kills it, who is the best women's motocross racer in the world? I mean, you've got Tara, who is part-time motocross, part-time endurocross, Laya Sands, you've got a half-retired Ashley Fialik. I mean, you tell me, Canadian, U.S., Europe, I don't care, who's the best women's rider in the world?
Okay. Currently right now, this is going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a couple girls for different reasons. And, this is me going off of what I know as a female racer, what I see on social media, how I see these girls market themselves, based on their point standings. Because you got to think, it's all into consideration. You can be the best rider in the world, but no one knows who the heck you are. So what are you really doing for the sport? How are you marketing yourself? How are you marketing women's racing? The one girl who I think is currently, on top and, the fastest girl in the world right now is obviously hands down Kira Fontaneza from Europe. She's racing the World Championships. I actually think she finished second behind Livia Lancelot. So, equally they're 2 of the fastest women in the world. They're racing the World Championships. And this girl has won 2 world titles years prior. She's come over to the U.S. She schooled everybody at Elsinore. I believe it was 2 years ago. And it's really funny. The very first year I ever went to Europe, I met her. She was really young, too. She was like a young little girl, and she was kind of, she doesn't speak a lot of English. I think she is, I want to say, oh, my God, there's just a million different freaking countries over there in Europe. I don't know off the top of my head if I checked. Oh, I think she's Italian. If I checked out her Instagram, I'd know, but I think she might be Italian. But it's funny because she wasn't winning back then. I think she was maybe top 10 or a good top 5. But this little girl, and now she's going on to just be a dominant force in the World Championships. And it's pretty cool because I consider her my friend, and I love following her on social media. And she's just a beast. I mean, she is just out to kill, and she always, makes a plan of, she's like, I'm going to go win the World Championship. And I follow her journey and follow her training, and she just looks like she just gives it 100%, and I really, really, really respect her. So if you guys aren't following Kira Fontaneza, check her out. I mean, her journey's rad. I also like to think Tara Geiger is one of the freaking coolest chicks out there. She does it all. She did moto. She does a little bit of freestyle, I think, here and there. And, now that she does the GNCC and the enduro cross, she's a very well-rounded racer, and she's one of the coolest chicks out there. I mean, everybody loves Tara. I know she's friends with a lot of the Nitro Circus people, and she's everywhere. Tara Geiger's everywhere. She could show up at a race and just do awesome, and everybody loves her. She's a crowd favorite. So I think she does a really good job of marketing herself and doing, going to the right events. But Ashley Filik's always been a long-term favorite. Everybody loves her. She, has a disability and doesn't let that get in the way of being a champion. So I think she's a great athlete, and she's really inspirational and, a good motivation for other people out there who are struggling with an obstacle. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many. I don't even know who to say. There's just so many girls out there. Vicky Golden, being a legend in, in X Games and stuff. There's so many who have such big championships. And obviously I do want to mention Jessica Patterson as well. She's been a longtime champion of the American Nationals. And now that she races the GNCC series, the off-road stuff, I know she, did what she could in motocross, and now she's doing what she can in GNCC. So it's really cool to see her jump. But those are, the most dominant women right now in racing, and they do such a good job of marketing themselves too. So a lot of girls, follow them, and they're really motivational, and they're really good representatives of women's motocross. They're always positive. They're very classy women, and they're just really cool. So yeah, I respect all of them. I'm super fans of all of them too. I'm a racer. I'm, some people call me like a motivational role model, but I'm also a fan of a lot of these girls, and I look up to them as well. So
yeah,
those are the girls I think are badass.
Yeah. How do you think, and here's a question, because, I say Laya Sands is one of the best female riders in the world, not necessarily in motocross, but the girl kills it in endurocross trials. She's done Dakar. How do you think she'd do in motocross?
I don't know. If you can do one thing, you can do the other. Especially GNCC and endurocross, that's a very technical sport. So if you can do that, you can easily transition over to motocross. It just depends on, her jumping skills, and her endurance is obviously there. There's a lot bigger jumps, and there's triples and doubles and step ups and tabletops. So there's a lot of different types of jumping. So I'm sure she's completely comfortable doing that. You can do one thing, a girl can do anything else. That's the coolest thing about women racers, is we're just so adaptive to different sports, and especially motorsports. So, no, she would definitely hold her own.
Yeah, for sure. So what's on tap for you this weekend? I think I know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be in San Diego with Cynthia, who's filling in for you. Where are you going to be at?
I'm heartbroken. You have no idea. I'm just like, damn it. Yeah. But, I'm still going to be at probably, Terracross is cool. I'm not going to shun it. But the freaking First Forum Summer Smash is going to be the coolest event of the year in the fitness industry. We are killing Olympia. We are doing something different for, the whole fitness expos. Anybody who is a brand ambassador and just, is First Forum loyal follower or lover or whatever, if you're part of the First Forum family, which is what the culture that First Forum has created around their brand, we are holding a huge event called Summer Smash in St. Louis, where you can come down. They gave away 400 golden tickets to all of our loyal followers and family. And we are doing a 5K mud run in the morning, and then the whole day is going to be spent doing motivational speaking and listening to Andy. He is the CEO and owner, just kind of talk about success and his journey to, how he has grown First Forum from this company that they slept in the back to a multi-million-dollar company. And it's just going to be the coolest, most motivational, inspirational weekend. And I can't wait to be a part of it because, every now and then you kind of go in lulls and you're like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, where am I going? And anytime I go to St. Louis and hang around with the First Forum people, I just kind of get recharged and remotivated and just kind of get my eyes focused on where I want to go. So I can't wait. And I can't wait to meet all the other people who love this brand too. So awesome. I'm really pumped.
Awesome.
But I'm not really pumped for this 5K run or mud run because I've never really actually ran 5K in my life. So
see, to me, that'd be the most fun part. I love mud runs and that. Like, I'd so be dialed into that. Like, I'm bummed I can't do that part, to be honest with you.
See, I know it's going to be awesome, and especially because it's not just 5K of running. Like, there's obstacles and stuff. But yeah. I've just never done something like this before. So this is going to be like my Mud-K Run virginity, and I'm just going to, I don't know whether I'm going to sink or swim. I'm sure I'm going to swim, but whether it be well, I don't know.
Definitely going to be fun, and I'm sure Cynthia will hold it down in Terracross for you. Hopefully she can come away with a couple of wins and put you in the points lead, right?
Oh, for sure. And, if she can't win, she's probably just going to do some burnouts and some catwalks and that thing because I know she killed it in the the donuts when they have to do donuts and catwalks or whatever in her monster truck. She drives the Monster Mutt at Monster Jam. But she's so good, like, everyone just loses their mind. She always, tears it up when she has to do donuts and always wins that category. So, now, Cynthia, good luck. You're going to kill it. Please salvage me some points because I'd like to still defend, a championship spot in Terracross. So, good luck. Have a good time. Yeah. And Jim, I have to say Happy Father's Day. I know you're a daddy, and it was Father's Day yesterday, so I just want to appreciate you and all your work. And you have a daughter, so I know how hard your life is going to be.
Yeah. No. Well, did you see the post, the picture I posted to Instagram? It's her in her motocross helmet with a big old smile on her face. So I figured you'd be digging that. So
just love it. Perfect.
Yeah. She's the girl. She literally, I've got pictures. I'll have to text them to you. She goes and rides her little Honda 50. She's got her helmet on, her goggles, her gloves, and she's wearing a dress.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she's totally like it's hilarious because she's like she's such like a tomboy / girly girl. It's like she'll ride her dirt bike in a helmet with a dress on, and it's just classic, you know.
Oh, that's so cute.
So, all right, Amy. Well, I'm sure I'll talk with you this week. Have fun at Summer Smash. Cynthia and I will hold it down in Terracross, and I'll keep that seat at Terracross Radio and the microphone for announcing warm for you for Minnesota later this year.
Sounds perfect. Can't wait. And good luck, everybody, racing Terracross. You guys are going to have a blast. I'm very sad I'm going to miss it, but got to be killing it.
Yeah,
fitness world. Do it.
We'll definitely keep you in the loop for sure, and talk soon.
Okay, bye.
All right. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
All right. That was Amy Hood holding down the last 30 minutes of the show. Always fun to catch up with her. And been a fun show. Chris Leone, Tanner Witten, Jen Hellstrom, Katie Osborne, Amy Hood, Andreas Bakkerud. We've been all over the place today and fought through some technical difficulties and overcame them. And here we are. So, it's definitely been one of those Mondays. But once again, big shout-out to all you fathers. Hopefully you had a great Father's Day yesterday. And don't forget, later today, social media, I'll be posting up those GoFundMes for Paul Sullivan, Steve Gingras, and Aaron Baker. Definitely, if you got any extra change or money, it would all three great causes, and see if we can get these projects and funded. Upcoming events, obviously Pro Motocross back in action. We got Red Bull GRC Military Base Edition coming up over the 4th of July. We got Terracross kicking off. We've got some Lucas Oil Regionals. I'll be out at there and Terracross this weekend. I'm pulling double duty. Got World Rallycross. We got Rally America New England. It's going to be huge. Lots of big name drivers. Check out rally-america.com and Formula Drift. And the big one, the one we haven't even talked about, I'm going to see if I can get my boy Reese Millen on air. We have Pikes Peak going on this weekend. You don't want to miss that one. So lots of racing this weekend. Big shout out to Polaris Razor, General Tire, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish Rally School, UPR.com, Blue Resort and Casino, JMR Performance Brakes, KMC Wheels, Parker Motor Company, Gibson Exhaust, MTX Audio, and Intense Tees. Chris, Tanner, Katie, Jen, Andreas, and Amy. Don't forget to give us a follow at JimBeaver15 on Instagram and Twitter and Periscope, at AmyHood71 on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/Down and Dirty Show, and download our app available on Apple, iTunes, Google Play, and the Amazon Kindle store. Hopefully this week we'll be dropping a brand new app, so you'll want to get that update. And a big shout out to our good friend Lauren Mayhew for lending us some music for the Down and Dirty Radio Show, and I guess that's a good way to end it. I'll be at Terracross this weekend. Don't forget to tune in to Terracross Radio. We'll be airing live this Thursday through our traditional channels, and looks like we're going to have Levi LaValle, Twitch, Ronnie Feist, RJ Anderson, Chad Ragland. It's going to be a great show, so definitely tune into Terracross Radio. I'll be doing that in addition to slaying some tires on a Polaris Razor. All that happening Thursday, Friday, Del Mar. If you're in San Diego, make your way to Del Mar. Come watch us jump some XP 1000s. We'll see you there, and we'll see you again next week here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. As always, game on.
Thank you.